You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest. First timer on Ron Siegel Radio, Sam Royer is with us. Salute Home Loans and Marine veteran. Welcome and thank you for your service.
Thanks, Ron. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you. And let me remind you, if you ever have any more finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Let's see what we've got to celebrate today. I know there's some interesting ones out there. Let's see. Start over day. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to start over. Let's see. International Day for the fight against. Yeah, we're going to skip that one too. National Gingerbread Day. I don't know. Where do we come up with these, Josh? It's Gingerbread Day. Maybe. I mean, isn't that don't we do that around the holiday time? I think is it something about Christmas in June? I know the Angels are doing some Christmas in June, Christmas in July, something like that. Gingerbread Day. Now, I don't know about the next one because I have beaten anorexia. Today's National Veggie Burger Day.
It is what it is.
I guess being that today's also National Moonshine Day, you need to have quite a bit of moonshine to want to eat a veggie burger. Just saying that, I throw that out there. I've tried the Impossible meat and what's the other one? There's two different meats out there that are veggie burgers. I'm not into either one of them, so I really can't figure that out. Okay, I don't know. Nate, bakers are people too. Okay, okay. Let's see what else we've got going on here in the markets today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 101 points. The S&P's up 6. The Nasdaq is up 50, and oil's up $72.71. This is where it's at. It's up 97 cents a barrel. Why? Well, Saudi Arabia said the president was asleep, didn't follow through on his promises, and they're cutting production.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Does it surprise anybody that the president didn't follow through on his promise? Well, I shouldn't say that because he may not remember that he made a promise that, you know, when he released the oil from the strategic oil reserves, he said if oil got under $80 a barrel, he was going to fill up the strategic oil reserves. Has he done it? No. Of course, that kind of goes with a lot of things that he says and does not do. All he wants to do is continue to wage war on the oil companies. Maybe that's why Saudi Arabia said, you know something, we're just going to cut oil because we want to get the price back up. Let's think about how this works. So the Federal Reserve is working on inflation. They're trying to get inflation down. Now, had the president followed through on his promises, what would have happened? Well, oil was down in the $60 a barrel range. He's in that six handle, 60 something. It was down there. Had the president followed through, that would have been more demand of oil, and it would have brought the price up to give some price stability. But the president didn't do that. So Saudi Arabia says, well, if you're not going to bring up the demand, we're going to bring the supply down. When you bring the supply down, that brings the price up also. Either more demand or having that supply increase, right? That's what's going to keep that equilibrium on the pricing. So now what's going to happen? It's just a matter of you and I, we get to pay the brunt of this. Now, gasoline, I should say now, at $3.55 a gallon nationally. Right here in the formerly Golden State, we're paying $4.87 a gallon of gasoline. Ow! Run around the team. Josh out there in Vegas, $4.27 a gallon. Not as bad as us, Josh. Jody over there, our processor in Arizona, $4.42. Brittany's in Colorado, $3.46. And taking a look, the winner, as always, our tremendous underwriter, Lori, $3.10 a gallon. She's in Louisiana, $3.10 a gallon. You got to wonder about that, and we're still stuck over here paying these outrageous prices. Unbelievable. It just amazes me that we get to do this. Of course, then again, we do have Governor Newsom here, and we've got the lovely Governor Newsom. Hey, did you watch the commercials now just on a sidebar coming out of San Francisco? $6 million ad campaign because their number one source of revenue in the city of San Francisco is tourism, and it's down 86%. So they've got these ads going out showing all these real nice pictures of San Francisco. They were all taken about 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. They didn't want to show the pictures of the homeless, the dirt, the grime, the drugs, all that's really makes up San Francisco now. Just throw that out there. But, they want to make it look good. Maybe Newsom can take his policies to the rest of the country where we pay over $1.09 for taxes and fees on our gasoline. $1.09 taxes and fees on the gasoline. Don't want to get into this conversation, but Sam's out there in America, and Florida, his hometown, $3.35 a gallon for gasoline. Over there, he's sitting in Arkansas today. I think they're at $3.11. Just slightly better price than Lori. So gotta love those different areas of the country that we can look at when we sit here in California looking at $4.86 for gasoline. And you can actually go to Hawaii and get gasoline cheaper than what we're paying here. Unbelievable. But let's move back and see what else is going on in the world. So we're seeing that the stock market is down a little bit. The NASDAQ is up. Why? Well, the stock market is being driven by maybe just 4 or 5 companies. You look at it, I saw earlier today, Apple Computers, they hit an all-time high on their stock price. Microsoft doing great on their stock prices. And you and I, we're not doing so good. Now, the Federal Reserve, and you know about the Federal Reserve. Yeah, they're a bunch of idiots.
Such an idiot.
They are looking still in the rear view mirror and haven't figured out that our prices are going crazy in their mind. But when we look at the real-time inflation, that number's down in the 2s already. That's because we need to look at real time, and they don't look at real time. Unbelievable. Yeah, Nate, you're right. It says a lot about our state. And, when you're a conservative in California, you only get, some places you get a lot of votes, but conservatives only get 1 vote each. Unbelievable. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, there is a bill working its way through Congress to try and help our police, fire, and educators get a new house. We're going to talk to one of the architects of this bill and proponents of the bill. We're going to talk about that. Oops, home prices, they didn't crash after all. We'll talk about that. And student loan payments, they're coming back in September, probably. What are you going to do about that? We're going to talk about maybe there might be some alternatives to help you cut down on those prices, all that, and more. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
79% of all credit reports have errors that should be corrected through factual disputing. You could be saving thousands every year if your report was accurate. CreditSanitizer.com provides a free credit report audit when you furnish a specific $1 credit report. You can use this information to request corrections to your report and potentially save thousands of dollars. Get your free credit audit at CreditSanitizer.com. That's CreditSanitizer.com for a free credit report audit. CreditSanitizer.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. 1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. Make a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI. They provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 42% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. Love giving you this information because this is about as real time as it gets. This is what rates actually locked at with this particular company who has a 42% market share of all mortgage transactions nationwide. I just said that. We don't know the APR. We don't know points paid or received. We just know raw data, the rates. 30-year conforming loan up 6.698, Friday's rate. 30-year jumbo loans were down 6.805. FHA loans 6.609. Those were up a little bit. 30-year USDA loans 6.617. Those are for the rural areas. Generally no down payment. Those were down a little bit. And the best loan on the market for those that earned it. Can't just apply for this one. And yes, it is my favorite loan. No, I didn't serve, but I love helping the men and women of our military who did serve. So we can actually do a radio program like this every morning and say what's on our mind. That's the VA loan. That was down a little bit, 6.33. And yes, we are just about finished with rsrvaloans.com, rsrvaloans.com. We should have that done by the time you're able to hear this tonight on radio. It is an educational series, rsrvaloans.com. Let's move a little bit closer to what's going on today. The 10-year Treasury is down 2 basis points. The S&P 500 now up 10.4. Mortgage-backed securities down 22, which means interest rates are up ever so slightly. What's driving that? Well, again, we see oil. That's going to help with increasing inflation, unfortunately. We did get that debt ceiling deal behind us. Do you remember me telling you when they were going to come out with the solution to the debt ceiling? I don't know if we have that clip. I didn't tell Josh to grab it, so we probably don't have it. But if you remember, I shared with you that they would come to an agreement over Memorial Day weekend when nobody was listening. Yeah, that's when they came to the agreement. So debt ceiling, now that's behind us, so we don't have to worry about that. And we got the jobs report. Kind of misled a lot of people. The media didn't cover that really well, but we'll get into that as well. You can count on it, but that's what's going to be driving the market now until we get to the next Federal Reserve time when they're going to tell us about what they're going to do with interest rates. Now, remember, the Federal Reserve does not control mortgage rates, but the home equity lines of credit do follow those mortgage rates. So be careful if you're getting that home equity line of credit. Also, student loans. We're going to talk more about that later in the broadcast. Don't consolidate into a private loan. That's bad for you. We'll talk more about that, but that's the Mortgage Minute brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. 1990. And, I mentioned before that I really love the VA loans. Why do I love the VA loans? It's because people that have actually gone out there, men and women who have served our country, they've done great things, and there's a loan program that's set up for them. And I love it. Now, I hear people talk about the fact that, well, the VA loan has no down payment requirement. And my comment is it actually has the biggest requirement, because our veterans actually put it all on the line for us. All on the line for us. The rest of us, we just put some money on the line. Veterans, they put it all on the line. Well, our guest today, Sam Royer, came out, and he is a veteran, so it's easier for him to say these things than it is for me, because he actually did it. But he came out and said, why is it that the police and fire don't get these same benefits or similar benefits? And like our men and women of the military, they don't just talk, they actually go and do things. So we're going to bring Sam Royer into the conversation and chat about this. Sam, you take it from there, because you're really the one that's really done this stuff. Tell us about the Helpers Act, what you're trying to accomplish, and we'll get into what we can do for it too.
Thanks, Ron, for having me. So basically, Helper, right? Homes for every local protector, educator, and responder. It's actually an acronym. As military members, we always like knowing what, having acronyms, because we forget stuff a lot. The whole Marine adage with pictures and crayons and stuff.
Now, wait a second. Wait, Sam, you got to slow down here. Now, I went and got certified as a veteran mortgage advisor. Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling that it's easier to remember what the whole concept than all the acronyms that you get as in the military.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what is it? Change a station, and I mean, there's 600 of them. I can't even remember all the acronyms. No, that's what they all stand for.
There's a lot, but ultimately we wanted to make it simple and honestly direct. I mean, Helper, these are the individuals that serve in our communities that a lot of times people forget about. And the fact is that, just recently, 2 weeks ago, was it? I was in Washington, D.C. at the police memorial doing the police unity tour. And, that Saturday night, they have the police memorial on the mall right in front of the Capitol. And when you're standing in the back with some of the bravest men and women you've ever met in your life, and they do after they announce all the names of those that have been, killed in the line of duty over the prior year, you see everybody raise a candle. I mean, that visual picture of all the men and women that gave their lives to protect us on our home front, it can't be more surreal than that. To know that what we're trying to do with the Helper Act is truly something that, needs to happen finally.
And that's, and I've heard some veterans that have come on the broadcast. I love having our veterans on the broadcast, but I've had some come on and they made a analogy when they're going and fighting, they kind of know who the enemy is and what the enemy's goal is. When you're a police officer, they go into a domestic violence situation. They don't necessarily know who the enemy is and what they're going to go up against. It's kind of blinded. So it's it's another battle. It's really I wouldn't want to say one's better or worse than the other. It's just that there's two different fights.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me, I served in the Marine Corps. I'm very proud to be a Marine veteran. The fact is, I never served in combat. I know we've had a 20-year war basically. So a lot of, more than, if you look at VA statistics, more than half VA loans now practically have a service-connected disability, right? So prior to that, though, if you look at the stats, most military members served in garrison. So they didn't even have that life or death type of situations. Many of my friends, and I wish you could see the wall in front of me. I know I have a big Marine flag behind me, but the wall in front of me, I have a lot of law enforcement officers. And these individuals, one that's looking at me every day, his name's Jay. And Jay's primary job is to go out and find people that kill other people. That's his job as a cop. And, his duty is to serve and protect and to be that person that is a peacemaker. But he's going to have some of the worst people in the world where he has to go into situations where he knocks on a door and he doesn't know if a gunshot's going to come through that door. And that's in his hometown. That's where he lives every day. So let's say that individual looks out of a window and sees Jay, and then Jay's in Walmart the next day with his wife and kids. He's not on call. He's not on duty, but he really is, because that individual could do so many bad things. And, even in today's society, as sad as it is, you're having teachers getting killed, in Texas, and, firefighters. Weirdly enough, the movie The Guardian, I'll never forget the scene where they talk about how, when the Navy is coming out when a hurricane hits, the Coast Guard's coming in, right? And that really put it in perspective. Well, firefighters, people jokingly call them hose jockeys and all this other stuff. But man, those men and women are running in when people are running out. Look at the World Trade Center. Those guys are running up staircases, and look what happened at the end of the day. So these men and women, since 1944, the VA has been around, and it's honored people. And it started out just honoring World War II veterans, actually. But here, the Helper Act, what we're hoping to do is get, more affordable home products. So when these people buy their house, they ultimately have the same type of benefits that veterans have. And, you're going to have some negative Nellies that are going to say, oh, veterans need this, or military members need this. Go for a ride along. That's all I'll tell you. Go for a ride along and see what policing's like. Go stand in a room. I got so many stories, Ron. You can cut in whenever you want. But I had a legislator once ask me, they said, how are teachers heroes? And at the time, my kids were teenagers. And I said, put 30 puberty-ridden teenagers in a room and see how many people want to stand there every day. Now, throw a phone in their hand. Now throw the fact that parents aren't like they used to be back in the day where, if a teacher called my house, my mom and dad would look at me and say, what the hell did you do? Now it's opposite of that. Well, why are you bugging my kid? So, these individuals, they just really deserve it. So that's why I appreciate you having me on, Ron, because, the Helper Act's going to pass with people knocking on the doors and shaking hands, kissing babies with the senators, the congressmen, to get their heart behind this so their vote, does come about to enact this bill.
We're going to talk more about this bill and how it actually helps our police and our fire and our educators. We're going to talk more about that with Sam Royer when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. Everyone said they were going to have home prices were going to crash, but they didn't. What happened? We'll talk about it. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Is your budget getting blown up with high prices of gas and increased costs for other household needs? This is Ron Siegel, host of the daily home and finance radio program. Did you know if you have a low interest rate mortgage along with auto debt, credit card debt, or student loans, your family could potentially save $500 or more per month by restructuring these debts? If you'd like a free Borrow Smart analysis with our team, let's book an appointment to see how we might be able to relieve some stress. Schedule your appointment at rsrbsa.com. That's rsrbsa.com for your free Borrow Smart analysis. rsrbsa.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Free tool from your friends right here at Ron Siegel Radio. Yes, it does help you monitor your credit, monitor your bank accounts, monitor your budget, monitor your assets, monitor the value of your property. You put your address in there, and it's going to give you 4 different valuations. 3 of them are good, And we know you're going to look at Zillow also, so we put that in there just so you know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And is also 97% of the properties around the country are right there, rsrmoney.com. Oops. Home prices didn't crash after all. During the fourth quarter of last year, many housing experts predicted home prices were going to crash this year. Here are a few of those forecasts. Jeremy Siegel, no relation. Russell E. Palmer, professor emeritus of finance at the Wharton School of Business, quote, I expect housing prices fall 10 to 15%, and the housing prices are accelerating on the downside, unquote. Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics, quote, buckle in. Assuming rates remain near their current 6.5% and the economy skirts recession, the national house prices will fall almost 10% peak to trough. Most of those declines will happen sooner rather than later, and house prices will fall 20% if there is a typical recession, unquote. Goldman Sachs, quote, housing is already cooling in the U.S. according to July data that was reported last week. As interest rates climb steadily higher, Goldman Sachs research G10 home price model suggests home prices will decline by around 5 to 10% from peak in the U.S. Economists at Goldman Sachs research say there are risks that housing markets could decline more than their model suggests, unquote. The bad news, it rattled consumer confidence. These forecasts put doubt in minds of many consumers about the strength of the residential real estate market. Evidence of this can be seen in the December Consumer Confidence Survey from Fannie Mae. It showed a larger percentage of Americans believed home prices would fall over the next 12 months than in any other December in the history of the survey. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of the socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, you'll see a chart. Percentage of Americans each December who thought prices would go down over the next 12 months. Wow, look at that. In 2022, it was double any other month that we're showing all the way back to 2010. Ooh. Good news, home prices never crashed. However, home prices didn't come crashing down and seem to be already rebounding from the minimal depression experienced over the last several months. In a report just released, Goldman Sachs explained, quote, the global housing market seems to be stabilizing faster than expected despite months of rising mortgage rates. According to Goldman Sachs research, house prices are defying expectations and are rising in major economies such as the U.S. Those claims from Goldman Sachs were verified by the release last week of two indices on home prices, Case-Shiller and the FHFA. Here are the numbers that they reported again. Josh just put them up on the screen. Month over month percentage in change in home values. You can see we went down in August of last year. July and August of last year were the biggest. August, September, down 0.7% on FHFA, down 0.9% on Case-Shiller. September was up 0.1 on FHFA and down 0.2 on Case-Shiller. But they've both already turned around completely. In March and February, both of them were on the upside. Home values seem to have turned the corner and are headed back up. Bottom line, when the forecasts of significant home price appreciation were made last fall, they were made with megaphones. Mass media outlets, industry newspapers, and podcasts all have broadcasted the news of an imminent crash in prices. Not here on Ron Siegel Radio. We did not say that. We told you the exact opposite. It was a great time to buy. Now forecasters are saying the worst is over, and it wasn't anywhere near as bad as they originally projected. However, they are whispering the news instead of using megaphones. As real estate professionals, it's our responsibility, some may say duty, to correct this narrative in the minds of the American consumer. Give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990 if you want to have a chat about this. And again, if you bought last year and you're having some problems, I know there's death and there's divorce and there's defaults out there. If you need to get rid of a property, we've got investors who will take it over, and you don't have to short sale. You don't have to go through default. You don't have to go through foreclosure. Give me a call. I will put you in touch with them. Again, 800-306-1990. That's the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Continue our conversation this morning. We're chatting with Sam Royer, Salute Home Loans. He is I guess I say architect. You call it visionary for the Helper Act. I guess you can go both ways. And a veteran, a Marine veteran. So you got all kinds of titles behind your name, Sam. But I like the idea. Today we're talking about Sam the Visionary. So let's chat about this. We talked in the last segment about, the Helper Act helps police and fire and educators. What specifically are we trying to accomplish with this Helper Act, Sam?
So basically, this whole visionary thing, I don't know who gave me the title, but, I came up with this concept a couple of years ago. And what it really was is when, just like you said, at mortgage banking, we sit in front of people every day, or we talk to people that serve. And when I was sitting there and I'm talking to a cop actually that had a vest on, had a sidearm, the whole 9 yards, and he's trying to qualify for a mortgage and he really didn't have the down payment and it was more expensive for him, it just really bothered me that I could buy a house more affordably than he could. So, a couple of years ago, I went on a journey to try and figure this all out. There's a very long story to it, but I'll give you the short version. Just basically, I started knocking on doors and asking, congressional leaders, or trying to get meetings with them to see if we could possibly get legislative change. That's how FHA was set up. That's how VA was set up. And it's one of those things that you got to start somewhere. So I was fortunate enough to run into a gentleman trying to get my marketing. He will forever be a friend that he said, "Hey, I know you're trying to change the country, and I know this congressman, and we're going clay shooting. You want to go?" And I thought, man, clay shooting, I'm a Marine. I can hit any clay. But I hadn't picked up a shotgun in 20 years. Well, I happened to go shooting with Congressman John Rutherford of Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, who used to be the sheriff there. He actually served in law enforcement, I believe it was 42 years. So we went clay shooting, and I was embarrassed because I hit half, and this man missed one.
Wow.
He kicked my other word we won't say. But at the end of it, I just asked him, I'm not a constituent in his district. And, a lot of times they only really want to deal with constituents. Well, I said, "Sir, is there any way we could do a Zoom call next week?" He said, "Sure, no problem." So I had a call with this man. I said, "Listen, sir," I said, it's tough for me that a lot of cops that you obviously work with can't buy a house as affordably as I can." And, kind of gave him the pitch. And probably 30 seconds later, he said, "Sam, let me stop you." He said, 2 times I borrowed money from my parents in the 70s. He said, "My first kid and my first house." He said, "I get it. Let's go." And that was it. And Congressman Rutherford, to this day, the thing I respect about this man, when you walk around the Capitol, nobody calls him congressman. Now, some people would say that's kind of disrespectful. It's not, because you know what they call him? "Hey, sheriff. Hey, sheriff. Hey, sheriff." Capitol Police, other congressional leaders, staffers. "Hey, sheriff. Hey, sheriff." This man is known as the sheriff. And what I aspire about that is that is his true first love. Now in Jacksonville, from my understanding, he's only served 2 terms as sheriff. His terms were up. He ran for Congress, and now he's Congressman Rutherford. So it's just an honor to know the man. He believes in service. He actually has another bill called Protect and Serve. And, ever since this would have been July of 2020, we've been fighting the battle.
Okay, so is this going to make it as easy is it going to have all of the guidelines of a VA loan built into this, where we can battle on the appraisal and get in with no money down and no mortgage insurance and all that? How's that working?
Yeah, so basically what we did was, there's a program called the Good Neighbor Next Door. Everybody can kind of Google it, look it up, which it has a great concept behind it. And the Good Neighbor Next Door categorize, law enforcement, firefighter, EMT, paramedic, and then teachers, right? They put teachers in there. A couple of years ago, I think it was prior to 2001, they kind of lumped them all together. So one question we get asked a lot, how did you come up with this group of people? Easy. In Congress, from our understanding, is that, and look, I'm not a political guy, but seems like I'm becoming one, but it's easier to get a bill passed when there's already legislation written. So we took exactly what those categories were. Now, I can tell you, my mom's an ER nurse. I would love to have nurses in there. I would love to have 911 operators in there, right? But at the end of the day, we have to start somewhere. Once this program then expands and we can show the proof that it's a viable, awesome opportunity for America, then possibly we can expand. But for right now, those 4 categories based off the Good Neighbor Next Door program, that's how we came up with the categories. What this will do, it will take kind of the best of VA and carbon copy it over into an FHA loan, because you can't go and give a VA loan to a non-veteran or military member. So under FHA or HUD, it'll be 100% financing, so no down payment required. It will not have a monthly mortgage insurance. So those 2 aspects alone go to the affordability factor. It gives, less money out of pocket and also a cheaper payment. So right now, if an FHA loan is here, the Helper Act is going to be a little bit cheaper. So it'll be down here, right? So it's a good thing. Now, the not downfall, but the way to compensate for the no monthly mortgage insurance, there is going to be a higher upfront mortgage insurance premium, which we do not know exactly what that's going to be yet. We actually started at 3.6 to carbon copy what the VA does for second use. But right now, for our understanding, the maximum so far, we believe it's going to be 3. But again, that's not definite. It's not done yet. But what it'll do, 100% financing, no monthly mortgage insurance. And at the end of the day, these individuals, all the other FHA requirements happen. The only caveat to that is this is only for a 1-unit property. So you can't go and buy a 2 or 3 or 4 unit property. And as long as you're a first-time home buyer, those things will then allow these individuals to buy a house just kind of like a VA loan. Now, again, the old bill, there was a bill that was introduced in the 117th Congress where we got.
Hang on a second, Sam. We're gonna let's save that because that'll take a little bit longer. And I already got the 1 minute from Josh. So, old bill, new bill, what's all that mean? And student loans. I may not get to the whole segment, but I'll tell you a little bit about that in New York Credit Matters. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. You have a credit report and it is wrong. What are you doing about it? Credit Sanitizer has these solutions for you. Let's chat about this. I'm just going to do a little bit of a 30,000 foot level for you about student loans. Looks like they're going to have to start making repayments probably in September. And we started talking to you about this about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Josh and I were talking to you about student loans and the concept of all the different programs that are out there to help battle the student loan problem and maybe help you with getting those student loan payments down. Now, you can go and research all of them that you want to. We're going to talk more about that in the days and weeks to come. But we also are going to have a service that'll allow you that'll do all the work for you. You'll need to provide a few pieces of information, and the service will take care of everything from there. It's going to cost a little bit of money, but you might even be able to get all that money rebated to you. So we're going to talk about that as well coming up. Student loans, don't just put your head in the sand. They don't go away. And whatever you do, please, please, please do not refinance your student loans into public student loans. Then every one of the benefits that the federal government is going to be offering is off the table. So don't refinance them. It's bad for you. That's just coming to you as your favorite consumer advocate right here at Ron Siegel Radio. That is Your Credit Matters, brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. Continue our conversation. We're talking to Sam Royer this morning, talking about the Helper Act. I don't know why I keep putting an S on the end of that, Sam, but the Helper Act. What's that?
A lot of people do. It's okay.
Okay. And you know, when you realize that it's an acronym, then you say, okay, well, it makes sense. You can't put extra letters on the acronym. It doesn't work then.
Yeah.
So I understand a little bit. I mean, I'm not a politician, but we do get politicians come in here, and I do share my opinion on what the politicians are doing. But, you know, sometimes there's really, really good things that come from the grassroots. Probably more often than not, it's good things from grassroots. I actually happen to be a fan of the Texas way of doing legislation, right? Their legislature meets, I think, 170 days every other year, and then they make them go back to work. So California, they think they're doing work by putting a bill out there that's going to give us more homelessness or stop some of our great citizens from doing some of the things they have, like our friend Chris down there in San Diego, who's helped get people off the streets. But I digress. We're talking this morning. So now Sam is going to do something here today that unfortunately a lot of the schools don't do anymore. So talk about how a thought becomes a bill, how a bill becomes a law. And, well, we don't know how it becomes a law yet because it hasn't happened. But what happens when they change Congresses? So talk about that a little bit, Sam. We started getting into that in the last segment.
Yeah, so I kind of learned this all from trial and error, I guess you could say. And luckily, George McElwee, he's the owner of Commonwealth Strategic Partners. We grew up together, actually, and I nipped his ear for years. And he was a chief of staff for a congressman and now owns his own lobbying firm. But he's really the other architect, if you want to call it, behind the bill. You know, it's a matter of getting that one congressional or Senate leader that believes in something, like Congressman Rutherford did. Then that individual person has to get other people on board, which we got Bonnie Watson-Coleman, a Democrat, John Katko, a Republican, and another Democrat, Al Lawson. So we had two Democrats, two Republicans that started the bill in the House, right? And
wait, you got Democrats and Republicans to agree on something. I think we're gonna have to put you on the bill on the tag for being a president or something, because they don't get them to agree.
Honestly, we had a lot of support. It was pretty much bicameral is a word that I learned. That means it's in the House and the Senate. But we actually, on the Senate side, we had Marco Rubio and John Ossoff, which is a Democrat and a Republican. And at the end of last Congress, we had 89 congressmen and women, and we had 17 U.S. senators that were on this bill. We had over 300 organizations, be it national, statewide, or local, to include mayors, all on this bill supporting this legislation. The thing you will learn in Congress, and I'll never forget Senator Rubio saying this to me, he said, Sam, you know, a lot of bills won't pass on their merits because of politics. And that's what kind of happened with us last Congress, is that you had some of the leaders that, you know, we appreciate their service, but if their bill is not in the forefront, it doesn't go anywhere. We had a congressperson that was in leadership that literally had their own bill that only had 44, all Democratic, on their bill. And we had 89, which was like split 60-40. And ours didn't go anywhere, and theirs did. It's just how Washington works, I guess. But now, that was the 117th Congress. The 118th Congress, which we're in now, we were very fortunate because the chairman of Senate Banking, Sherrod Brown from Ohio, Democrat, he is now with Senator Rubio, now leading the charge on this bill. So we have the president of Senate Banking very much behind this bill because he believes in it. Now, what's so awesome about that, that means it's going to go through his committee. As you asked about what you don't learn in high school, every Congress and Senate have these little things called committees, and that's where supposedly more expert senators and congressional leaders are in these committees. So like you have armed services, you have appropriations, you have House Intelligence, Well, there's banking on the Senate
That's an oxymoron there.
Yeah. You have banking on the Senate side and you have financial services on the House side. So on the banking side, right now we have a whole bunch of leaders on the Democratic side that are on the bill. We have to get more Republicans on it so that it'll pass in the Senate. On the House side, we're struggling a little bit because right now some of the leadership on financial services, they don't like government programs. Well, this is not really just a government program. FHA already exists. All we're doing is we're saying to FHA, hey, look, if you serve for 4 years, be it a police officer, a firefighter, an EMT, or a teacher, you have an opportunity to get a less expensive FHA loan. That's really what it is. We're not subsidizing. We're not taking anything away. We're just giving a benefit, just like the VA does for military members. And we're saying we're going to honor your service to our communities by helping you get into your home. The thing that you're protecting, be it from burglars, be it from fires, and then the children we raise in our home, we're sitting there saying, hey, we're gonna actually help you get in the house so you can raise your own kids instead of just raising others, right? And that's the first time I ever put that all together, and it sounds good. But what I'm saying is, so on the House side, we got a lot of work to do. But this new Congress, the bill was just reintroduced, 2-3 weeks ago? We already have over 44 leaders on board. On the Senate side, we have, I believe, 7 or 8. And the organizations, the national organizations, the FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police, the National Sheriffs, the National Educators Association, the International Association of Firefighters, they're all on board. Now, realtor associations, we need you on board. This will help your realtors sell more houses. It will get people in more affordable. We need them to get on board. We need other leaders in this country to step up and say, hey, we are 100% behind it. Not we're kind of behind it. This is going to change America where people that truly, look, ask a cop if they got in the industry to become a millionaire. Ask a teacher if they just want to try and make a big paycheck. Ask a firefighter if they really love coming home at night smelling like smoke. They don't, but they do it because they care about others first. And you know what? It's time our country puts them first. That's it.
So is there a direct organization that somebody can get more information at? Is it just grassroots? I know. Is there bill numbers that you can tell us that we can call our congressperson with?
Yep. So the House bill is 3170 and the Senate bill is 1514. And we are putting together a website and other things right now. Now, there are some people right now, unfortunately, that are using this to try and be a lead generator. They're trying to suck business in, the mortgages and everything else. And listen, if you're one of those people, I get it. Everybody's trying to get business and stuff. But at the end of the day, we're trying to serve people. Don't use this as some stupid marketing ploy to try and get business. Right now, go out to your congressmen and senators. Go ask them why they haven't joined the bill if they haven't. Get the bill passed first. Get these people. Now I feel like the president where he gets really angry at stuff.
No, you have to start whispering, Sam, if you're going to do that.
Get the bill passed first before you try and suck in business. Look, I had a congressman, and I'll kind of leave you with this. I had a congressman that thought I was doing this for financial gain, right? And I appreciate I'm on a radio show now. You know, I get some cool exposure, and that's all fun and good. But I can tell you, I moved to Arkansas, or I live in Arkansas. I have a house in Arkansas because I wanted to get away from people to be in peace, right? I live 15 miles from the closest Walmart. The national exposure is fun and all, but I like sitting at home and just looking over the mountains, right? But at the end of the day, I didn't do this for financial gain because guess what? If you go to a police conference right now, I might be the only mortgage guy there, right? So I'm getting all those leads. I get to meet all these people. When this bill passes, you're going to see every mortgage company at every police conference because they're all going to be law enforcement experts, just like everybody's a veteran expert, right? So at the end of the day, guys, don't just do this for marketing. Go out, pick up a phone, talk to your clients, talk to your people that are cops, teachers, firefighters. Have them call their congressmen and senators and let them know, join the Helper Act, join HR 31770, join Senate Bill 1514. Put your vote behind it. Get the bill passed. Then by all means, go use it for marketing, right?
That's great information. And, you know, being that we're on ABC News and Talk here this morning, or this afternoon when the program airs later on the network. Go out, call your senator, call your congressperson. Get a hold of their offices, send them a message. I'm gonna see if I can find those links where we can just go right and you can pick your person and put that in the show notes.
So, hey, real quick, Ron. So AIM is actually a mortgage organization or a group. They actually do have a website we could probably pull from where you can literally put in your name, your zip code, and it will email your congressman and senator. So we're very thankful to AIM for having that site up. Actually, the NEA, I believe the FOP actually has one. So there are call to actions like that are out there. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for that question, but yeah, we should be able to get something out there. ABC, you know what? ABC, if you want to do an interview, look, George and I have a pretty cool story that we grew up together. I actually thought he was a nerdy kid. I was the goofy, try to be jock guy. He went in the Navy. I'm a Marine. This story is something that we would love to share because guess what? When this bill passes, there are going to be two guys that are 18 rows back, hair standing up probably in the back. And we're going to be like, hey, look, there we are, right? Because there's going to be congressmen and senators. They're going to get all the credit for this, right?
That's the way it works. But, let me just finish with this one comment is take action.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about your community and you're thinking about the firefighters that can't live in your community, if you're thinking about the police officer that can't afford your community, if you're thinking about the teacher that's teaching your kids and grandkids that can't live and afford the community, well, you have the opportunity now to actually make a difference and get them into your community by calling your senator, your representative. And if you need more information on this, give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. I'd be happy to put you in touch with Sam, get you on some of these different websites, but take action. Don't complain if you're not willing to work and make a phone call. It's not that hard. And you can reach me anytime. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.